These bills, one, require background checks for anyone purchasing a gun at a gun show or an online sale. Most people don't know it. You walk into a store and you buy a gun, you have a background check. But you go to a gun show, you can buy whatever you want and no background check.
You suck.
Guys, that basically sums up Biden's ridiculous press conference regarding his executive action on guns, right? And let's rewind here, guys. The Democrats are doing this because of the epidemic of mass shootings going on around the country, right? And they swear up and down that they want to solve this problem. They want to reduce gun violence in America. And I've told you this before, guys. I think the Democrats are using these events as a way to try to appeal to a small minority of their base at the expense of law-abiding, gun-toting Americans, okay? And guys, I want you to clearly understand the thesis of this video. It is that the Democrats are putting on a show. This is literally a political show. They're pretending like they're trying to solve a problem in order to appear like they're doing something about gun violence, but they're really not, right? They're doing it purely to try to get votes, to appeal to their constituents' emotions after these tragic mass shootings, which is really messed up if you think about it. It's really effed up. It really is, okay? And they're doing this at the expense of law-abiding, gun-toting citizens, right? They're doing it at their expense, but they're not actually really trying to solve the problem of gun violence. They're really not. And to me, I don't understand why they're taking this political strategy, because strong Second Amendment advocates, right, and gun owners do perceive this to be an attack on the Second Amendment, and rightfully so, because in rhetoric, the Democrats have basically came out and said that the Republicans are hiding behind the Second Amendment.
And the director of the White House's Office of Public Engagement. Before joining President Biden's administration, he was a congressman from Louisiana. Mr. Richmond, thank you so much for staying up and spending some time with us tonight.
Well, thank you for having me.
So I talked to Congressman Ted Deutsch of Florida, who's obviously knows this issue as well as anyone in Congress. And he said something that surprised me. He said he was more optimistic than he'd ever been that something could get done in Congress. Do you share his optimism?
I do. One, I know President Biden's passion about doing something about gun violence and creating sensible gun laws, along with Vice President Harris. And I think the country's shifting, too. This is no longer the day. Republicans and the NRA have hid behind the Second Amendment for far too long. When the Second Amendment was written, people were stuffing gunpowder into a musket to shoot, and now you have guns that can shoot 100 rounds in a minute. And that's just completely different. These are weapons of war. They're weapons of mass destruction. They have no place on the streets of America. And we have a president now who will call out all of those who oppose safe neighborhoods, safe streets, and stopping the carnage on the streets of America.
A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. That is the Bill of Rights. It's the Bill of Rights. It's the Constitution. It's the Second Amendment. But unfortunately, the Biden administration, or at least Joe Biden himself, doesn't think that any amendment is absolute.
They're phony arguments suggesting that these are Second Amendment rights at stake from what we're talking about. But no amendment to the Constitution is absolute. No amendment to the Constitution is absolute.
No amendment to the Constitution is absolute.
This type of rhetoric suggests that what they're doing is trying to restrict access to guns in this country, right? In order to accomplish their stated goal of decreasing gun violence, okay, and mass shootings. However, if you actually look at Biden's executive actions, what he's doing is basically nothing, right? Because let's take a look at the first one, guys. When it comes to trying to regulate and get rid of ghost guns, right? Which are basically guns that are assembled in kits that are untraceable. They don't have serial numbers. Again, they're trying to regulate something that is by definition untraceable. Okay? How many ghost guns have been involved in mass shootings? But, Biden says that this is a growing issue in this country. So, hey, they're trying to get ahead of it. All right. They're also trying to regulate the stabilizing brace, okay, in which they say makes a pistol essentially a rifle, right? That's a interesting use of semantics. But, the stabilizing brace was conceptualized to assist disabled war veterans, right? And millions of them are sold each year to law-abiding, gun-toting citizens who use them, right, to help assist in handling a gun safely and shooting accurately. However, it's not one of those things we've really been hearing about. And again, more regulation here really is just making it harder and more difficult for law-abiding citizens. Now, there's also the so-called red flag legislation, right? That is a model for states to follow. States are not going to follow it, okay? States are not going to follow it, right? Again, guys, this is what I'm trying to tell you. It's all bark and no bite. Biden also announced that in his infrastructure package, in which everything by definition is infrastructure to him, he's going to have a $5 billion program dedicated towards community violence. Again, no real details here, no real specifics, because, 60% of gun deaths are from suicide. So, is this a focus on mental health? Because it sounds like to me, if you really wanted to reduce gun violence, you would focus specifically on mental health and actually build off of the progress that the Trump administration has made with that, right? In terms of trying to improve the mental health of this country. That's what they would be trying to do. But no, it's just $5 billion for community violence intervention, whatever the hell that means, right? This next one, probably the worst part of what he's doing, and this probably actually does have a little bit of teeth to it, because Biden is nominating a strong gun control advocate, David Chipman, to be the head of the ATF, okay? But see, here's the thing. Although this actually does have some teeth to it, more than anything else he probably put in this executive agenda here, it's not like in a 50-50 Congress, this guy is actually going to get confirmed, okay? He's not going to get confirmed, right? Or he's going to have a hard time getting confirmed, put it that way, right? Because, again, we have a 50-50 Senate, right? And you would hope that Second Amendment Republicans, right, those who actually support the Second Amendment, would push back on this nomination in full force. So what I'm telling you guys is this, right? I do think that the notion that Democrats want to take away all guns, I think that's a little bit of an over-exaggeration. But they actually do want to make it harder on law-abiding gun-toting citizens for the sake of trying to act like they're trying to solve a problem. The facts just don't agree with the Democrats on this. The facts suggest that they're not really trying to do anything except make it harder on law-abiding citizens in order to try to appeal to a small group of gun control zealots on the left who do not understand the facts around gun control and gun violence in this country. If you actually take a look at the data, again, like I already told you, 60% of gun deaths are suicides. That right there indicates that it is a mental problem, not a gun problem, a mental problem. First and foremost, you solve the mental problem, you cut gun deaths by 60% flat out, right? Just flat out, you eliminate 6 out of 10 gun deaths, right? But see, again, that's not specifically mentioned from the Biden administration. Then on top of that, according to the CDC, in 2018, you had about 39,740 gun-related deaths in the United States. Now, out of all those gun-related deaths, only 85 of those were done via an active shooting situation, right? An active shooter. 85. It's less than 1%, 0.2% to be exact. And if you expand the definition of a mass shooting to include 4 or more people who were killed in the incident, you had 373 gun-related deaths, right? 373. That is about 0.9%. So about 1%. 1%. Let's talk about assault rifles, right? In 2017, according to the FBI, 64% of gun-related murders in this country were done with handguns. 4% were done with assault rifles. 4%. So Biden also included in his executive action to push Congress to do something about assault rifles, right? In which we've already tried that. We banned assault rifles during the Clinton administration for 10 years, right? For 10 years. And what we found is that although the ban was successful at reducing crimes committed with assault weapons, however, any type of benefit was likely mitigated by the increase in crimes with non-bannable semi-automatics, aka pistols, right? Handguns, which is what is responsible for most of the gun-related violence, right? And you think that the Biden administration doesn't know this? Of course they know this. And the only thing that banning assault weapons would do would be to hurt law-abiding citizens who happen to own these type of self-defense firearms. That's who is hurting. And again, even if they did it, it would not make a dent in the problem they're trying to solve, but it will hurt people who are law-abiding citizens. This is what I'm trying to tell you. They're trying to appeal to a base to act like they're doing something that they know they're not doing, to act like they're solving a problem that they know they're not solving, and they're doing it at the expense of those who do follow the law. It's a game from the Democrats. It's 100% a show. And I really don't understand the political benefits of this. I really don't. I don't know why the Biden administration is even pretending. I really do think that the Democrats will be better off just not even addressing this issue. Because what you're doing is that you're emboldening people who are strong Second Amendment advocates, who don't mind standing behind the Second Amendment, right? Because standing behind the Second Amendment is standing behind the foundation of this country, right? It's standing behind our rights and our freedoms that have been acknowledged to us by the Constitution. Standing behind the Constitution is not something that law-abiding citizens are going to be ashamed of. And Biden trying to shame law-abiding citizens because they want to stand behind the Constitution is not a winning political message. It's going to backfire. Because one, he's not going to solve the problem. And two, he's just emboldening people to vote them out. He is. The Democrats, at least up until this point, have at least tried to appear moderate, right? They've tried to appear moderate. And, you know, from an action standpoint, like I told you guys, they're really not trying to do anything here. But now their rhetoric is no longer moderate. This is not moderate rhetoric. When you tell people that they're hiding behind the Second Amendment, that's not moderate rhetoric. That's rhetoric that is used to rile up the progressives, to make them think that you're a champion for trying to stop gun violence in this country when you're really not. You're a champion of political games. That is the Biden administration. And offending law-abiding citizens. That's the second thing that they're really good at. So in my opinion, guys, like I said, yeah, Biden is trying to attack the Second Amendment verbally. He really is. He's attacking it verbally. From an action standpoint, he's not really doing much, but he is making it more annoying for law-abiding citizens. And you've seen that he is willing to throw law-abiding citizens under the bus purely for the sake of political gain. And the media not calling him out on that is a shame, because they know that this is a sham. Everybody knows this is a sham. And not that I advocate that the Democrats actually do anything. I'm glad they're not doing anything. But what they are doing is annoying, right? And they're also spreading lies in the process. It's very annoying for law-abiding citizens. But I think that this little game from the Democrats is ultimately going to backfire, right? I think it's going to backfire because I think that the Republicans are going to use this as ammunition, right? No pun intended, to attack the Democrats on their rhetoric towards the Second Amendment, right? And Biden doing this executive order that, again, has no real teeth to it, because all of it is basically just recommendations and, oh, we're going to start the process of X, Y, and Z, but they're not really doing anything. You know, silly progressives who don't really understand what's going on, they don't understand the facts and the statistics, they might go for it, right? They might eat it up. But I think that a majority of the country, you know, may be turned off by this, right? Because, you know, Democrats, you know, some of them are strong Second Amendment people as well. And like I said before in this video, if the Democrats really wanted to focus on gun violence, they would focus on handguns in some of these more blue states and blue cities. That's what they really would focus on, and mental health. And no, I'm not saying that I want the Democrats to ban handguns. That's not what I want at all. I'm just saying that if they were following the data, right, and trying to ban stuff as a solution, if they really want to solve the problem, that's what they would be trying to ban, right? Just based off the facts and the statistic, right? But, you know, they really don't want to do that, right? Because if they actually try to solve the problem, then, you know, they don't have anything to blame on the Republicans anymore. And they will also never win an election ever again. That's just kind of how politics goes, guys. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.